Georgia. Upatoy, Georgia. January 4th, 2016 in Upatoy, Georgia on 3057 Bentley Drive. Mr. Robert Shorts would come home and find the most horrific scene he's probably ever seen in his life. His family was murdered. They were bludgeoned to death. The 911 call is heartbreaking. When he shrieks into the phone, "Who would kill my family?" He'd find out soon enough. His family consisted of his wife, Mrs. Gloria Short, his son, Caleb Short, 17, and his granddaughter, Gianna Lindsay, 10. The news went through Upatoy and all of the surrounding cities. It was a shocker. It was horrible. It was tragic. We couldn't believe that something had happened like this, and why. Who were these people who would do such a horrible act? The gossip came, the rumors came, and then the arrests came. The arrests may have been more shocking than the murders to the Shorts. One of the suspect's fathers had said, quote, "All of this is very shocking, and we're going to get down to the bottom of this because my son is coming home. They're not going to place him for nothing like that right there. No. He was home. He was here." Unquote. But he wasn't home. He wasn't there. On the 4th of January, he would go to his friend's house, his friend Caleb Short's house. They had been friends for years. They were even known to call each other cousins. He was like family. He was welcomed in the home. And to find out that this young man and two of his friends would do such a crime to this family was just heartbreaking. He was best friends to 17-year-old Caleb Short. He said, quote, "Dad, I haven't lost my strength. I am still strong. Get me a lawyer." Unquote. Those would be the words spoken by Tapley, Javarcier Tapley, the cousin, the best friend, the one that was welcomed in the Shorts' home anytime. He would actually be the mastermind behind this crime. Somehow he would get together with two of his friends, Raheem Gibson, 19 years old, and Rufus Burks, 15 years old, and they would plot on Caleb Short and his family. They were thinking they had money. They had items that they can get, and that's where they were going for, to get whatever they could, and whoever was there and whoever was in the way, that would just be something that they would have to take care of. In actual trial and court footage, Tapley did knock on the door of Caleb Short's home. He answered the phone and they would, in a sense, bum rush him. They would manage to tie up him, tie up Mrs. Gloria Short, and tie up the little girl, the little 10-year-old girl, to a chair. And of course, you can imagine they were threatening them, branding weapons, pretty much terrorizing this family. And I'm pretty sure that Caleb did not know what was going on. I mean, this was his best friend. Why is his best friend doing this to his family? Why? They would take a 20-pound dumbbell and they would bludgeon Caleb to his head repeatedly. The little girl, she had managed to get out of her bondage, and as she crawled away to try to get away from the scene, they would repeatedly bludgeon her with the dumbbell, and they would stab her to death. This little 10-year-old girl, Gianna Lindsay. The articles I saw, Gloria Short, she was the last to die. They had beaten and bludgeoned and stabbed her to death as well, with anything that they can find to kill this woman. This woman that let this little boy come into her house, this little boy that somewhat saw this little boy being raised right before her eyes. This woman who would take this little boy on trips with her family was in her home, and now she'd witnessed him killing Caleb and Gianna, and now was killing her. What was going through this family's mind? More than that, what was going through Tapley's mind? Not very much. They would look around the bloody crime scene and they would take whatever they can gather: gaming systems, clothing, Caleb's clothing, his shoes. He was like some type of little athletic shoe junkie where he liked to keep all the latest footwear. So they would take his shoes and his clothing, and they would take jewelry, and they would take anything, I guess, that they had saw before that they wanted now. And they would put these items in 2 vehicles that was found on the Shorts' property. These vehicles was later discovered and recovered by the Columbus investigators. It was a 2014 VW Silver Beetle, and it was left on South Lumpkin Road in Oakland Park. The other vehicle was a 2004 green GMC Envoy that was abandoned and found on Broadmoor Drive in Oakland Park. Police work, transcripts from telephone calls, and even social media posts would tie all 3 of these young men with this crime. There was actually even a 4th that was supposed to go ahead with these crimes, but he decided at the last minute to stay home with his girlfriend. It would have been nice had the others had girlfriends too. I didn't really see much about the 4th, but I wonder if he knew that a murder, a triple murder, was going to take place. I wonder if he knew. The young men would post Caleb's clothing online for sale. They killed and bludgeoned, brutally beaten his family to get clothing and to sell it online. and to joyride from Upatoy to Columbus and leave the cars. What was the point of all this? Was there even a point of all this? Was Gervasier Tapley's love for his friend, did it turn to hatred and jealousy? Because that's the only thing that came out of this, was you killed your friend. The pain and suffering these young men have caused. We have a man whose wife died in such a horrific way, and his young family members. We have a young woman who lost her brother and who lost her little 10-year-old daughter. How this probably will always weigh in on them. For some reason, the death penalty was taken off of the table. Don't know why, but it was taken off the table, and the perpetrators would all get significant time. Rahib Gibson, he somewhat helped with the defense. He gave testimony as to the other two perpetrators, Tapley and Burks. He received 30 years. Gervasier Tapley and Rufus Burks both received life in prison. After spending 4 years in prison, Rufus Burks, the youngest one, the one who was 15, probably about 19 now, he is actually asking for a new trial. I don't know why. Guess he'll think he's gonna get out sometime soon. But you're not. The extended family has to heal, and my condolences to the ones who loved and cared for these 3 victims. It was a tragedy of greed, hate, jealousy, and it should have never happened. One thing that stands out with me all these years later about this whole case was, as Tapley was physically subduing his friend, Caleb would say to him, quote, "You'd better be playing."